All right, we are streaming. We are streaming. We are live on the internet, on YouTube. This is Learn to Code. What do we do in Learn to Code? In Learn to Code, we build applications together because it's important to build things. It's important to stay building, always stay building. Um, always Always construct and build ACAB. That's what I always say. So um, the poll ended. We voted. We had ranked choice voting. This is democratized class. We had ranked choice voting of what we were going to build this week. Don't It's okay if you weren't here yesterday. It's okay if you aren't here today and you come to tomorrow's class, or if you skip tomorrow's class, you're here today and you go to Thursday's class. This is asynchronous. We're going to learn something every day. But if you were here yesterday, you probably voted on something. So let's see. Consumption versus creation, productivity app. That is what won the ranked choice voting for what we're going to work on this week. All right. All right. So this is interesting with the ranked choice. We see that exquisite corpse game had the most number one votes. This is why ranked choice voting is interesting, right? And then the consumption versus creation productivity app only had two number one votes. But when we started taking the other ones out, I don't know, it had a majority. So ranked choice voting. So you didn't really want it, but you sort of wanted it, and you wanted it more than the other things that were there. So, and how many votes were there? There's 8 active votes. So 8 people showed up and voted. It's a great turnout. It's a fine turnout. It's not the best turnout. It's not the worst turnout. I'm still struggling to get my camera showing here. Uh, and it's important that you see me, but whatever. You can't see me, so you forgot to vote. Oh no. Well, that's okay, because we're building this app, and I got the jump on it. You're gonna be expelled if you don't vote. Just don't come back to Learn to Code class if you don't vote. Oh my gosh! All right, so we're naming the problem today. We've named the problem, and that problem is uh, humans are distractible. We love things that make noises and are shiny. And we got goldfish brains. Apparently, that's been debunked. We don't even know what goldfish memory spans are like. We've just been saying that. We've been comparing our own brains to goldfish without having any sort of scientific evidence of what a goldfish's brain is like. So whatever. That being said, the problem is, and please do not take offense to this, I am talking to myself in the second person. So when I say you, it's like the royal you. It is like all the people in the world, right? I'm just gonna say it though. Uh so let's this is a little mantra for the day. You are not blocked. You are not blocked. You're not blocked. You're just not blocked, right? You're not blocked on the skill, right? You just it's the starting, the finishing, the processing of it, right? And most of that has nothing to do with the code or even learning to code. Because we're in this weird period, right? We have Claude, we have ChatGPT, we have these AI tools, we have more tools that are available to us. You can technically build anything, but we don't know what matters anymore, right? So instead of building the things, we're just like watching the world crumble around us, right? we're not creating, you know. And this isn't meant to be like an inspiring, like, oh, like oh, we're not watching, the world around us is crumbling. No, it's like there's so much going on. We talked about it yesterday. You can do anything, right? And sometimes that energy is too much. It's overwhelming. It's cognitive overload. You can technically build anything, right? But you cannot build everything. And if you approach it like, oh, I can build anything, so I'm gonna try building everything, that's when we kind of get dissuaded from the process of learning to code, or picking up a new technical skill, because it's too much. It's cognitive overload, right? So a question for the class, which I always ask: what did you create in the last 24 hours, right? And this one's different than what I usually ask, because I'm just asking about anything. What did you create in the last 24 hours, right? Doesn't even need to be code. If you're an artist, if you, you know, what did you create in the last 24 hours? Feel free to mic up if you're on campus. Feel free to post in the box. If you're watching the YouTube, feel free to post in the chat. What did you create in the last 24 hours since we last met? Anything? Any cool things made? Ooh, I love it. Um,
I made a librarian
you
and a
made
washer agent.
you made a library. What the heck is that? How?
So I did the intro to agents class again with Liz, and she had this really great template for like, what do you want your agent to do? What's the input going to be exactly? What's the output going to be? How are you going to test that it's what you want? And in the course of the class, it went without a single hitch. Just it worked. And then I built a agent called the librarian who will categorize and embed every note that I have in Obsidian, and it'll use a Scala sketch or a Scala draw to represent it visually, textually, and graph style. And the test on whether it was accurate was, can it present the same information in a different way without generating or making things up?
Oh wow.
And then I made a
Excalibur.
watcher agent so the librarian agent didn't have to be the one continuously checking every file to see if it had been modified. And if it does get modified, it gets automatically sent to the librarian.
That's awesome. I love that. Uh, so we have Excalidraw is like this whiteboarding tool. Is that Excalidraw or Escalidraw?
Like Excalibur,
All
and
right.
it's so cool. Nicole Vanderhoven on YouTube has all these streams about using Excalidraw and Obsidian as a visual like version of embedding, like how embedding does words. Excalidraw does the same thing for images.
Okay.
So it'll draw all these connections between the images, and it'll, like, that expanded how LLMs do embedding like graph, that but for pictures.
I love it. Cool. So this Nicole Vanderhoven. Nicole Vanderhoven. Cool. YouTube's.
She's so good at the neurodivergent learning, like not monotone, very, very animated.
Are you saying that I'm monotone? Is that what you're saying?
You're monotone with
are you are you calling me monotone? Whatever. All right, I'm gonna take Nick. I'm not even gonna rep Nicole Vanderhoven anymore. No, great job. That's, you created something. You created a library agent. People in the Oh yeah, if you're in the chat and you couldn't hear the last person who was talking about building agents, it's because the campus is busted, and so are my headphones. And you're going to want to, if you can't hear other people talking, it's this weird bug where you need to go into another tab, and then sometimes you can hear other people talking. I don't know. It's weird. So tab out. The picture in picture will save you of other people's microphones. Beyond that, somebody said that they made a watercolor pet portrait. That's cute. I like that. Another drawing on my bingo card for the year. A little progress on my task tracker. Goober powers are on max throttle right now, but for real, I 3D printed a bunch of decor to put up around my house. All right, maybe I doubted the creativity of this class. Maybe I'm projecting, right? Y'all are creating things. Made a new profile icon for my GitHub profile. That's something, right? Excalidraw. Cool. So, yeah, like I said, we're in this weird period. You can technically build anything, but so much is going on. It's hard to know what matters. So, creativity is important. Creating versus consuming, consumption versus creation. That's the productivity app that we're going to be building this week. So, when we create something, the question we're kind of asking ourselves is, what exists now that didn't exist before? And I know that's like, ooh, reductivist, way too simple. But it's important. Like we talked about this kind of idea of the app being like uh, input, taking an input and providing an output for a specific purpose. Like that's the app, that's the application, that's what people, that whenever you're kind of stumped on what you should be building, you think about your problem statement, and then you think about what inputs you're taking, what outputs you're providing, and what is the sort of purpose of the application. And input and output, we can also get a little bit meta with it, right? As it applies to our cognition, as it applies to us as connoisseurs, as consumers, as creatives, right? Uh, so the input and output, what we're taking in versus what we're putting out into the world. And y'all put a lot out into the world based off of the answers to that question. But the question that we should be asking ourselves, that's kind of a prompt problem statement for this consumption versus creativity app, is when you open your laptop, when you sit down on the couch and pull out your phone, when you open a device, what's the first thing you do? Think about it. You're bored. You're listening to me drone on. You pull out your phone. What are you doing on the thing? What is it that like gets your attention? Right? No wrong answers. Latest link, or no, somebody's just talking about the link. The link seems to be down right now. All right, anyways, check note.
The world is ending this morning.
What? What was that?
Thing I check is whether we've got an hour countdown to get out of the U.S. That's
I
the first.
know. I'm right there with you. I have like all the whatever, the podcasts and the YouTubes that I watch that are politically based, and there's one headline that I'm waiting for, and the last couple weeks it just hasn't been there, so I'm not taking in the content anymore. But we all know what the headline is, and when it happens, I'm gonna be stoked. So, yeah. So people check notifications. They're doom scrolling. You're on Instagram. You're on TikTok. You're on YouTube. Um, uh, pissing people off in the comments section. Wow. All right. So you're actively in the comment sections. Um, that's cool. Uh, so yeah, I think that and all right. So is the decision that the decision to do whatever, all these answers that you give, is that decision intentional or is it automatic? Do we feel like there's an intention behind how we use our phone, or does it feel automatic, right? Um, and feel yes, somebody's mic'd up. Yes, no, intentional, automatic. Feel free to answer. So I think the problem statement for this consumption versus creation uh, productivity app is that when people use their devices, a majority of us feel like we're not in control of our own flow of input and output. I don't think this application is as much of the productivity tool that like all these sorts of, because it's been made before, right? There's a bunch of, you could fill your phone with applications that are the sort of like block Instagram productivity app, like get on top of my life, clean my house. I don't know, whatever. You can fill your phone with these applications, but uh it's more so we need to like I want the app to sort of track, and we're building this together, so if y'all have ideas on what to do with it, I am totally open to that. I was thinking that the consumption versus creativity productivity app is more like a mirror than a tool. It's like a tracker, right? So you get that like original data that shows you, hey, you're spending 90% of your time consuming other people's information and 10% of your time creating stuff, and you're trying to be a content creator, a coder, a XYZ. Like what's the game plan here? So I think what I want to build, just like somebody was working on a task tracker, is something that tracks how you spend your time in a way that might make the user feel a little bit uncomfortable. This is going to be different than, Pedro, our executive dysfunction app, or any of these apps that are really meant to take the user out of like a spiral, or it's more so like, yo, like this is how you spend your time, and that's why it's bad. So and it's I think what we need to work on as a class is sort of defining defining ba 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 uh consumption versus creativity, right? And like when it's like unhealthy, right? Or healthy, right? So what do y'all think? Like, because I feel like a lot of consumption that we do that we feel good about is like right now, like some of you are like passively watching this class. You think of it as like, we're gonna build the app regardless of whether you interact with class or not, and so you just watch and you sit aside and you let the app kind of happen. Some of you help build the app, some of you go like the full evolved step, and you're actually like making like GitHub PRs and forking the application on GitHub, and making changes to it and helping build the actual code of it. So consumption versus creativity. If you watch a coding tutorial for an hour and then you don't apply that knowledge, would that be considered consumption or creativity, right? Probably consumption, right? Because it's just like we're learning a skill, that we like you still get that sort of like educational feeling that you're doing something productive too. But then there's like some like neutral tasks, right? Where I don't know, maybe y'all have a feeling about this, right? If you are actively uh, coding with AI, and you copy code from an AI and tweak it, do y'all feel like that is an act of creativity? Yes, no, maybe so. You're copying code from an AI and you tweak it. What is that? Is that consumption or creativity? I actually want to know. I feel like this is like something that people kind of disagree on.
I think it's more collaboration.
How do y'all feel? You feel like it's like
It's,
collaboration?
I feel like it's creativity because you don't call it not creativity if you're a painter and you didn't make the paint. If you're taking what is essentially a pigment,
To lean into that, I think so because the AI doesn't have its own ideas to start. You have to prompt it.
I
And
don't
then
know. I make all my own paint and paper and paintbrushes, so no, I'm kidding. It's it's yes, it's creative. Like I feel like it's creativity, right? It is collaboration is creativity. I think there's also like in defining these, there's active versus passive, right? There is healthy versus unhealthy or maladaptive. Uh, maladaptive. And I'll make this smaller. How do I make this smaller? Whatever. So unhealthy, maladaptive, consumption versus. So it's like we all kind of have a grasp of what these words would mean, right? So like I think there is healthy consumption. I do think if you're watching educational tutorials or you're watching like self development tutorials, ways to optimize your workflow, you're reading documentation of a code base that you're trying to understand, you're researching. These are all forms of healthy consumption. I think that the word consumption in and of itself is used as sort of this like gross, like, it brings up this idea of like we're taking in we're gorging ourselves on information or whatever. But I think there can be healthy consumption. I do think that obviously there's unhealthy consumption. The doom scrolling at one end of the spectrum, and then maybe researching at the other end of the spectrum, or studying, or enlightening yourself through the information that you're taking in. Not all consumption needs to be for a purpose either, like watching a really good movie can be inspiring. Watching like really trashy reality TV can be a totally okay way to calm down after a stressful day of creativity or of working, right? It doesn't always need to be like, anyways, but the active verse consuming art for inspiration can be healthy. It doesn't have to be a judgment to say wanting to balance consumption with creativity 100%, right? Active versus passive is another thing that I think kind of maps cleanly onto consumption versus creativity, input versus output as well, right? Where it's like I think that there's a lot of people out here who think that across the board, like video games are this consumptive experience. Like you're just like consuming the video game. You're wasting your time. But you know, like you could use the argument of like streamers or people that play more like creative games, you know, like The Sims. You're building houses. You could even make a game that's like not super creative if you wanted it to be, you know, like there's people out there who are like actively making you know, like different avatars and stuff for games like Dota 2 or you know, there's artists that work on all these games. I think the active game development can be. Gotta let my dog out. Sorry, had to let my dog out. Can be creative, not just the act of developing the game, but actually like playing the game. It can and it's active, right? So there are active forms of consumption. Are there passive forms of creativity? Do we is there? I don't know. What would a passive form of creativity be? So, I'm like actually asking this question. Passive form of creativity. Slop. Somebody said slop. Somebody said passive creativity might be consumption for inspiration. Um, we are using creativity. Let's actually change this to consume versus create. I think as verbs they make more of a uh they make more they make more sense to compare. Consumption versus creative, you know, there are creative forms of, you could watch a very creative movie. Creative in that light is a bad adjective. um all right, passive creativity is brainstorming where you have the idea but have not executed anything, kind of like what we're doing right now, right? Hasn't left your brain case yet, right? Yeah. I have an app idea. I want to build a digital map to use to navigate instead of Google Maps. Can I make this in template farm? Maybe. I don't know. You said that template farm wasn't working, so I don't know. So I don't. I mean, template farm wouldn't make it for you. It would walk you through how to make it. But that was last week's app, and we're distracting me. Should we open back up template farm? Why don't we open up all the apps, that the graveyard of apps that we haven't finished? Um, I just want to make something. This person's like sick of they're like, get me out of learn to code. I want to create. I don't want to consume. Um Last Thursday doesn't, yeah, last Thursday definitely doesn't work. Last Thursday was like a month ago. Um so what anyways, everyone's talking about all the apps, the app graveyard. So everyone here probably has a different internal definition of all of these spectrums, right? And I think that's part of the problem when we pursue the building of an app like this, right? So, uh, blah, blah, blah. I'll put up a couple different things, and you can say in the box what you think it is. We're gonna say create or consume. All right. So, uh, what is what side of the spectrum does a tutorial live on? A tutorial, just any tutorial, right? Is that creating or consuming? We're trying to figure out our bias right now because that's what we're building for the app. Create or consume? Tutorial, is that input or output? Is that create or consume? Taking a tutorial equals consuming. All right. That's what somebody says. Do we feel like that's right? Yes, I feel like it's consuming. So that's 2 votes for consuming. Um, yeah. But once we apply it, it's creating. Ah, okay. Writing a tutorial equals creating. All right, cool. That's yeah. We're getting into the definition of it. Uh, what about uh documentation? Reading documentation. You're working on a Python app. You don't know how to do something, so you go and you read the Python documentation. Are you in an act of creating or consuming at the moment of reading the documentation? Reading equals research equals consuming. Beautiful. Consuming. So see why it's important that we get off of this this trip of all consumption is like bad consumption, right? Because these can be completely productive acts of consumption. All right, debugging. So you read the Python app and or you read the Python documentation and now you are oh, whoa, that's gross. And now you are debugging. Yeah, the red was gross. Debugging. You're debugging. You're debugging. You read the Python documentation, you go back to your app, you start debugging. Are you creating or consuming? This one's kind of weird, right? You're debugging. Debugging is creating, right? This is something that I feel like kind of gets into this realm of what I like to call addition by subtraction, right? The act of creating can be troubleshooting. It can be debugging something. If you take out large swaths of code and it makes your code work, that's creating a working program, right? Manipulating something equals creating. Love it. See, we're getting like the definition out of ourselves through this. And I know this seems like very oversimplified, but see how we all kind of have like different ideas of like what counts as creation, what counts as consumption. If we're going to work on an app together, it's important that we at least like align on what those definitions are so that our user doesn't have this confused experience of like a split team where people are like, I don't know if that's all right. Scrolling GitHub for projects, for project resources. All right. Scrolling GitHub for project resources, creating or consuming, right? All right, we got it. We get the flow now. This is consumption. Gross. All right, so uh let's start coding this thing. All right, we're gonna throw it up on GitHub. We're gonna get Claude to kind of brain dump with us. So what I have open here is a VS Code, an empty VS Code project, right? So I'm gonna start by making a folder that anybody have a cool idea for this app? We don't really know what it is yet. Create or consume. Anybody have like a name that they just have to share? Uh, Pickle Juice. Huh? Yes. All right. We're calling it Pickle Juice. Oh my God. Pickle Juice. That's what we get, all right? When we rely on the audience, whoever posts in the chat first gets the name of the app and bonus points because it made me laugh. I'm going to think of everything associated with that gherkin. Cucumber.io. Oh, okay. Gherkin is a language. I did not know this. Oh my god. What's going on here?
Did you say cucumber.io?
Cucumber.io. There's Gherkin is a language. Gherkin tool that supports behavior driven development. I don't even know what's going on here. Cucumber.io. They got a GitHub. Open source tool for running plain language automated acceptance tests. Cucumber is a tool for running automated acceptance tests written in plain language. And then Gherkin, I guess, is a variation of it or something. Anyways, did y'all know about this? Is that why you said pickle juice? What? Like, all right. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Anyways, too much time on the cucumber.io. Could we eventually get cucumber.io working in pickle juice? And would that be afterthought that made sense in both a creative and consumptive way because we are looking at the documentation for it? Yes, I believe so. No, we're probably not going to do that because I don't know how to work BDD into the application that we're making, maybe through some sort of test driven thing, but we would need users to apply BDD. And what is BDD in terms of coding? BDD in code, not body dysmorphic disorder. It's behavior driven development. Plain text language, gherkin, to define system behavior is given when then. These scenarios are executed by frameworks like Cucumber, blah, 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 behavior driven development. And then this guy is saying, so it's a spec, not a test, a scenario, not a test case. So what I'm assuming is we're using user stories to define what we're developing. Could we use BDD? Could we use behavior driven development in an application that's made to track users' time spent creating or consuming? That's the next question. Could we use behavior driven development on Pickle Juice? The logo is very reminiscent of LimeWire. And so is the Lime Scooter logo. I feel like anytime there's I mean, I guess cucumbers go well with limes. I think we could. Use. There's a world where there doesn't seem to be much documentation on gherkin. Gherkin language. Gherkin. Yeah, there's a world where we can use gherkin on pickle juice. Yes, we can use gherkin. It's such a dumb. All right, God. I guess we'll ask Claude this. All right, so in pickle juice, I'm gonna open a terminal, right? I use Ubuntu WSL, which is Windows system Linux. And I have Claude installed on my machine so that I can call it from the terminal, right? So I run this Claude and then the flag dangerously skip permissions. And now before you say whoa, dangerously skipping permissions. It's sandbox. We're in an empty folder right now. It's the word dangerous here is very light. It's just so it doesn't have to ask a bunch of questions about what we're doing, why we're doing it, XYZ, right? So we get our little Claude welcoming up to the terminal. We're in dangerously ignore permissions mode. So this is where we do a little brain dump, right? I hope this works. I have Whisper running. Bop, 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 bop. And I have this voice-to-text application running that I need to get rid of. I need to use a different voice-to-text application. But all right, today we want to build an app called Pickle Juice. The Pickle Juice is going to be an application that tracks the user's time spent consuming versus creating. The goal of this app is to give the user an understanding of how much time they spend on input versus output. We also might want to look into using Gherkin or Cucumber to build this application. And can you use OpenSpec to kind of frame this out and build a roadmap which has Claudes concurrently running with each other in different waves from different terminals, so that we can get this project done quickly with the right specifications. Any questions you have about this application, can you ask me in UI form? Thank you. All right, I definitely missed some things in there. Is there anything else people want to... So polite. Yeah. Is there anything else people want to ask to the app? And then if you're having trouble with campus, here's the YouTube. We always share that. I'll throw it in here too.
Job is done.
All right, so it's saying what platform should Pickle Juice target, right? A web app, a desktop app, a mobile first PWA, or a CLI tool. So what's a PWA? It's a progressive web app. We don't have to go through the Apple Store. We don't need to go through Google Play. You can make a website that works in any code you want, and if people add it to their home screen by sharing it when they open it on their phone's browser, then it becomes a little app and it opens as its own application. So it helps us skip the step of having to publish to the App Store. It could essentially be a web app that works on desktop and then also as a PWA. That's a choice that I like to make with a lot of my applications. A desktop app could also be cool because I feel like a lot of people use their desktop like as a work from home machine. The issue with a desktop app is that we lose context of what happens on the phone. And I think a lot of consumption happens on the phone. I don't know how much we're using our phones to create. I mean, content creators could argue that that's the place where they make most of their content. But some people record on their desktop and then post to whatever. That being said, I think that yeah, somebody says I like the PWA and browser-based web app. Me too. Mobile first PWA. Let's do uh PWA and browser-based web app because none of those options are really there. It says mobile first PWA. If we tell Claude to build that or to spec that out, it's going to take it literally and it's going to make this thing a mobile application. I think that having the user be able to use this on desktop and mobile gives the most value for a program that's supposed to track the user's behavior, right? So let's do a PWA and browser-based web app. I want the user to be able to use it both on their phone and on the browser. All right. So how should time be tracked? Manual start-stop timers, passive detection, hybrid, or quick log entries, right? And this is like totally like a design thing. Passive detection puts us in this role of like building out sort of the surveillance tech of the application. Not to be like to yeah, like so somebody in the chat says if it is a web app, how would it have insight into what you do on your device with an agent? One thing we have to keep in mind with something like this is that it will basically need to spy on the user, and operating systems try and fight that. These are good points to be made. So an application that I use, or I don't use it really anymore because I just don't have a use for it anymore. But it was this, let's see if I can quickly log into my account. This app called Clockify. So let's pull this over here. So you'd have you would log all your own time. So I would be like, I'm working on the Pickle Juice app. And then I'd click start. And this is more for like invoicing and all that stuff. But it's not watching what applications I'm using. I could add like screenshots and stuff if I wanted to. It's more like self-reporting, right? So it's hard to convince a user to self-report. What? All right. So somebody says, blah 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 blah. We need charts and graphs in a friendly web app format. I like the PWA. Is a brainstorming feature to randomly generate ideas of what to create to break consuming cycles and encourage switching to creation possible or too vague or hard? I like that idea. And no, it's a little vague, but you'll see with Claude through the OpenSpec framework, it will kind of help us like bring clarity to that idea. If it is a web app, how would it have insight into what you do on your device with an agent? These were the questions that we were just kind of. What are you using to create this? Sorry if I should know. We're using Claude, and this is Claude in a VS Code terminal right now. I think that we don't. All right, so the options right now, how should time be tracked? Manual start-stop timers, passive detection, a hybrid, or quick log entries. I think that passive detection is out of scope for what we might be able to do in this class. And this idea of like how we'd have insight into what people are doing, consuming, or creating is hard. Like it's like we wouldn't, you know? Yeah, I mean like some sort of agent maybe. I think the manual start stop timers are kind of important. So you could proxy network traffic and inspect it. See if they are on Facebook versus Udemy, for example. This gets into like the kind of like place of spying. Um, MITM, LOL. MITM, what does that mean? Man in the middle attack occurs when yeah, it's man in the middle. Hacker secretly intercepts and relays communication. But we're not. Can we store the data analyzed by the app internally? Is there a way to store the data analyzed by the app internally, like in local storage? Then I think we could do some sort of passive detection or hybrid. Otherwise, I would prefer just the manual tracking. This is a good question to ask. Whoever asked that, can't we store the data analyzed by the app internally? Since this is a web app, we have access to something referred to as local storage. And so we may be able to get away with storing that data internally. So we skip the sort of like man in the middle accusations, right? Like we dodge those, right? So should we use Gherkin / Cucumber for BDD specs? Yes, Gherkin and open spec capabilities, right? Given when then. All right, so this is like a way of writing specs, right? Do we get that? BDD? It's a way of writing the specifications, right? Given when then scenarios inside each open spec capability spec, executable via Cucumber against the app. Is Gherkin a good... Oh, it's just a spec format. All right, so the Cucumber's the runner, and Gherkin's just the style pros. So we're going to use Gherkin style pros because this is pickle juice, right? So it's not the pickle itself, right? We don't need the cucumber. It's the pickle juice. It's a watered down pickle, right? Sorry. How many parallel clawed work trees should the roadmap spin up? However many are necessary and efficient. All right. So now Claude's going to be building out the open spec of pickle juice. I don't know, dude. I don't know. What's the icon look like? Anybody have any good ideas? Pickle juice. Delightful. Yes. A skanking pickle. All right. Yeah, let's do it. A hand trying to fish out a pickle, mason jar with green juice, and red and white. A cucumber clock. These are all great ideas, and we'll work them all in. I am a fan.
I have a question for you.
So, if people don't know, all right. So, what I'll do if you greenlight, blah 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 blah. Claude has a question for me. We gotta focus. We're getting. Somebody said skanking pickle, and now I'm looking up the specials logo. All right. Scope locked in. 2 things to flag in the roadmap. Storage. Yes, browsers give us local storage. I'd use IndexedDB for the time entries and local storage only for small prefs. No backend needed for V1. We can add sync later. Passive detection caveat. A pure PWA cannot see other tabs / apps. browsers sandbox us, right? All right. So yeah, once we're in the PWA, we don't have context of what's going on the rest of the phone. So realistic passive signals from a PWA alone. Page visibility API user has our tab focus. Request idle callback. Activity heuristics on our own UI. Optional companion browser extension later for cross tab. So hybrid practically means manual timers and auto pause when tab hidden, and smart nudges. All right. So this is saying that we need an extension. Proposed roadmap. It's going to have 3 parallel Claude workers. There's a spec Claude, a UI Claude, and a data Claude. Each worktree is a separate branch, merges back via PR. For the PWA, can we just default to manual timers, since it seems too confusing to try to build around this? And also, no, never mind. To build around this. All right, back to the
Job is done.
All right, so want me to kick off step 1, open spec init and seed project, draft the change. Go and build, baby. So this is the specials logo. That's what skanking is. So, the pickle, pickles are great. So there's this this minor league baseball team in Portland called the Portland Pickles. And they have a mascot that is, wow, this is a gigantic picture. They have a mascot. His name's Dill, and he is a giant pickle. Oh wow, I just lost him. He's a giant pickle. So sweet. So you could have Dill skanking, but he's not a Portland pickle. It wouldn't be Dill TM. It would be another Dill, like a like dill pickle, Dill, or like Dylan, right? Savannah Banana vibes. I don't know if they play the Savannah Bananas. Do they? I don't think so. I think they're in a different league. Portland Pickles, Savannah Bananas. Oh, they do. Crazy. Somebody says that's Dylan P. Gherkin to you. Is that his full name? Portland Pickles mascot. His full name is Dylan T. Pickle, according to Wikipedia. I I don't know what the I don't know what the so we're using Gherkin. We're building Pickle Juice. I'm gonna post this to GitHub. So let's get it up and running. So GitHub. Let me walk you through how I make things on GitHub. So I go to create new on GitHub. new repository, and we are going to call it Pickle Juice. A time tracking application shows the user time spent creating versus consuming. All right, and it's going to be public. We're not going to add a README or a git ignore for now. We'll add those manually. So the READMEs will, when we add this, we'll get Claude to help us spec that out for you. But it will give you the ability to see how you compile this thing locally on your machine. The git ignore prevents us from accidentally posting environment variables or things within the project that we might not want other users to have access to. And then the license, it's probably going to be MIT, but you know, you can ignore that stuff. So we'll create this repo. Pickle Juice. And it walks us through setting the repository up on our machine. So while we have Claude kind of doing this thing, we can open up another terminal, and we will get in it. Actually, we need to go into Pickle Juice. CD Pickle Juice. Git init. That initializes a Git repository. We'll git commit m first commit. Oh, sorry, this is behind me on YouTube. Then we're not gonna add anything yet. Let's git add. Actually, let's make a README file just to. Actually, we'll use the roadmap file. Git add roadmap.md.
Job is done.
Git branch m main, and then we'll copy this. Copy. All right, we'll just say git push u origin main. Failed to push. What? Main does not match any. Did it name the thing master again? No, it didn't. Cool. Not work. Remote origin already exists. Git push u origin main. I don't know. Oh, maybe we need to log in. Maybe I do it from PowerShell. Git push u origin main. cd pickle juice. What? All right, Claude has a question. It's all weird. All right, so it's got those. All right, everything looks great. Thank you, Claude. I need to push this because class is over. So can you make sure that GitHub is wired up correctly, that Git works, and push this for me? Thank you so much. Also, can you make a README that walks the class through compiling this on their machine? Is it the hyphen between pickle and juice in the GitHub repo name? I don't think so. I think the hyphen should work. That's just what, you know, if it were a dollar sign or an exclamation point, it might be something different. All right. So let's check out some of these specs. Control Shift V formats are markdown files in VS Code. So Pickle Juice tracks the time the user spends consuming, reading, watching, scrolling versus creating, writing, coding, making. The goal is self-awareness. Shows a daily and weekly ratio so the user can see the balance of their attention. V1 is intentionally small. Manual start stop timers, tagged, consume, or create, stored locally in the browser, visualized on a simple dashboard. Yeah, because we're gonna have to think about data and users and all that stuff. But again, this is Tuesday. This is like great progress for the Tuesday class. So, Next.js deployed to Vercel spec conventions. The project uses OpenSpec with Gherkin style scenarios.
Job
Each
is done.
requirement scenarios use when, then, and for continuation. Pros only. No cucumber runner. Just the gherkins. Just the juice. That's why we call it pickle juice. That could be like our semantic explanation for why it's called pickle juice, right? Um, no cucumber. That stuff's gross. Just the pickle juice. It's like a watered down gherkin juice, right? Um, Scenarios should read as plain English. Acceptance criteria out of scope for passive detection of what the user is doing. Um, it's saying like Claude took some liberties with like just trying to get the open spec out, but we're gonna work on passive detection tomorrow. If that's something that you want to do once the repo is up to date, that's something that you can look into. Those of you who have taken Agentic SDLC or just have knowledge of how to like vibe code, I implore you to hook your Claude up to this. There's no need to waste tokens on an application that we're building as a group, but if you want to and you want to make PRs, something that to be aware of. You know, I always show this in class, but we do build applications and sometimes we deploy them. This is resource.support, an application we built 2 weeks ago. It's functional. You can look up zip codes and it shows you the resources in that area. It's completely open source. People are making pull requests. People who didn't even take the class are actively collaborating on the code, right? We have a little about page and it shows people who are working on this. This is something that would look great on a portfolio. It's also just awesome to it's all, it's all just awesome to, you know, to work on an app at any rate with groups of people. So do we think that Pickle Juice has what it takes to be an application that gets deployed? We don't know. How should I create the repo? The repo is made in Pickle Juice. Can you see it? Cool. It's got eyes on Pickle Juice. Thanks, Pickle. Where can I find the GitHub link? I'll get it to you in a second. I'm gonna start running the waves of this preliminary.
I have a question for you.
Yes, fix that. Did it just push a random other? Pickle Juice template farm. Ooh, somebody already started. Pickle Juice. Oh, look, it made a readme.
Job is done.
You got the Claude co-author. Um, okay, can we start these waves from the roadmap? I wanna use this application. I'm bored. I'm sick of Claude just what is it doing? Doing boring stuff like version control? There's the GitHub. The GitHub. Okay, so we got the roadmap working with Git now too. This is all right, we have all these little specs, but I want to see the roadmap. So the three work trees, um, specs, features, and a data engine. A Dexy schema? What's that? Dexy. Where? In Dexy.js, the schema defines the structure of your. All right, interesting. All right, so that's how we're handling data, I guess. The pickle is very cute. So, something that we've been talking about kind of in the multiverse school among the people, is this moment of interregnum. Uh, are any of you familiar with what that term means? Because I didn't know about it until yesterday. Interregnum. A period when normal government is suspended, especially between successive reigns or regimes. Oh, like now. That's yeah. Yeah, yeah. So this moment of
Job is
interregnum,
done.
we build applications in this learn to code session that we have. And um sorry, that was a dumb answer, but we build applications in this class. So when we think about the time that we're in, sort of, it's like important. It's important to, I think there's a lot out there right now that dissuades us from creating, right? we can go into this sort of like nihilist headspace of what's the point, right? Or like what am I doing, right? Where am I? And the thing is, like, I feel like we're driven during these periods of chaos to find content that sort of like shines light on what we should be doing, that tells us what to do. And there are, not to be like too on the nose, but there are fascist regimes that are just waiting for this sort of mindset to strike the public, right? They want people to be like, I don't know what I should be doing. I don't know what I should be looking at, so that they can decide what you're looking at. And that's the thing that I think when it comes down to learning to code or educating yourself or taking in content, you're not going to outlearn the chaos of this moment, right? The true antidote to the anxiety, the paranoia, the intensity, the chaos that we feel right now is not learning our way out of it. It's acting our way out of it. It's building our way out of it. It's creating our way out of it. Like, we do so much privately that we think that other people can see our struggles with our personal code projects and the things that never see the light of day, right? You have to think, like, what would it look like if your output was visible to everyone in this multiverse school, everyone on the internet, every day, right? Would your behavior change, right? And it's important. It's important to create stuff. Log something today. You don't need to work on Pickle Juice, You don't need to work on template farm. You don't need to work on resource.support. It doesn't need to be an app that we're building together. But if you're not creating, you're most likely consuming, right? I don't want anyone here to log 0 days when it comes to creation. I feel like creativity is so important right now. And if you're only consuming content right now, you really, really have to audit what those sources are, because there is an active suppression of the media at the moment. We are not getting the good stuff. I know for a fact, right? It's, we got basically like 3 companies and an administration deciding what we're seeing and seeing what we're seeing, spying on what we're looking at. Your iPhone takes an infrared picture every 3 seconds, right? You know who has access to that IR data? Meta, right? Why would Mark Zuckerberg want to see where your eyes are at? It links back to like the pictures that it's taking are scary looking, right? It's like it does that thing where, like, if you've ever seen like a cat late at night, you know how you can like see it's like eyes are glowing. That's what it's waiting for, so it knows when your eyes are looking directly at the content. It knows what you're looking at. It knows when your pupils are dilating. It's gross. Why would we need that level of surveillance, right? So, again, this gets a little bit meta when we're thinking about building an app that might have some sort of passive detection over what people are doing. I want to kind of build away from that, right? To better serve and sell ads, for sure. Also to better sell your data, right? If they know how people are reacting to controversial posts, if they know how people are reacting to political ads, they have been proven to sway entire economies, entire administrations, right? So, just stuff to think about when you're consuming stuff on your phone. And if you work for one of these companies that are part of the tech oligarchy and you're consuming this video right now, this is a parody. I'm joking. It's a joke. It's a joke. I love you guys. What you're doing with the surveillance of the people and the watching where our eyes are, I think that's cool. I want more. I definitely don't think that. I can't. We have fun in this class. We play around. That being said, check the GitHub repo. I would say in half an hour. This is going to be working on stuff. Claude's going to be working on stuff. Sorry we didn't touch much of the code today. You'll be able to pour over that code in the GitHub repo. I will post it to the Matrix chat. My one ask of you is create something today.
I have a question for you.
Will you just code a single line of code? That's all you need to do. Y'all have been great. Y'all have been super, super, super great. We're building this Pickle Juice app. I'll see you tomorrow.